All right, welcome back to Off the Tap. This week is episode 42, and we are doing Spring Bock from Saint Arnold's Brewing Company.
Such a beautiful can. I have no idea what it's supposed to be like. It's a German style, obviously being a Bock, but spring seems fairly odd, so we're gonna give her a crack and a pour.
Yep. Blue, blue and green coloring. So I guess it's just going after the seasonal
Ooh.
aspect there. Also, I don't know what this can looks like. I only got a brief look at it this morning before I threw it in the fridge. Okay. Honestly, it looks a lot more wintry.
Yeah, it looks very wintry, but you know what's funny now that you say it, since it's Texas' oldest craft brewery, they're really playing up spring with the blue bonnets.
Yeah. Okay, that's what that is. I thought it
Nothing
was just swirls,
symbolizes
honestly.
Nothing symbolizes spring more than just the takeover of an invasive species such as the bluebonnet.
That is true. They grow everywhere here in Texas. Um, on the old logo that I have, which is actually on the video, the cover of the video podcast, it has like it has the picture of old Saint Arnold himself, but he's in like a field of flowers. So it's
Yeah,
like
so
green and
in
red and stuff.
in this one he's maybe there's a few Indian paintbrush looking things, but he's like in this little globe and he's like worshiping a little baby Texas star, which is nice. But I don't know if you see the little.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Clever.
But beautiful. Beautiful pour though. Picked a different pilsner today, but
Oh,
still.
nice. Oh, okay, yeah. For no
Look at
specific
that.
reason at all. Just
Zero reason.
zero reason. Obviously, I think we said it's a Bach. We're talking a
Dude,
6.4% ABV.
can you see the like surface tension of the foam?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, okay.
that's
So sorry,
nice.
back I cut you off. Back to what ABVs?
We got a 6.4 is what it said on the interwebs. I don't know if you want to check the can for proof there.
I'll see if I can
Uh,
find it.
and 24 IBUs.
6.9
Ooh.
ABU. Yep.
All right,
And
so some things
what
have
did you say
changed.
that what did you say the IBUs were?
24. So that's probably gone up a little bit too if the ABV went up.
Possibly. I don't think there's not always a direct correlation. What I
That's
think is
true.
funny is if we were to run the stats on what online has versus the can, it's maybe 50%.
Yeah, I think it's because I'm sure a lot of these came out like a lot of the online profiles came out for them right when they first release, and at some point over time ingredients change, recipes change a little bit and things get a little different. Most of
Isn't
the time for the better, but
So I would say Saint Arnold for me. I would say all of them are enjoyable. I don't think I could say I've ever had a Spring Bock. I'm
I've
pretty
never had the
sure,
Springbok.
which we'll get into later. I'm pretty sure that's an oxymoron, right? Because I
Yeah,
think
something like
Bocks
that.
are brewed for the summer, but yeah, German style Spring Bock, smooth and
Mhm.
satisfying lager.
They're just trying to bring it to us year round, and I appreciate it. I'm gonna get into it.
I feel you.
I mean, it's a nice flavor. It's a Bach, it's solid.
Yeah, you know,
I actually really like the aftertaste of it.
hey, so listen here. Um, it is like, whew, there's a lot going on here. First off, it is not in a bad way, but it's not crafty. Like I don't get that. You know how I don't care what it is. You can have a brewery that is a craft brewery. They've got like a lot, a pilsner. They've got a wheat. They've got a bock. They've got a stout. Every single one of them is going to have this foundational just craft taste in it, like it were its own ingredient. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's a Bock, but it's craft. Oh, it's a Pilsner, but it's craft. Like, you can just taste craft. I don't taste any craft in this. And I know that a lot of people are going to be like, oh, that's terrible. To me, that's a great thing because sometimes the craft can take away from the style of beer. This, it doesn't. Also, this is going to sound really negative, but I don't get a whole lot at the beginning. There's not a lot up front. Finishes very well.
Yeah, no. On
It's
the
almost all
yeah.
it's almost all finish. It's really weird, isn't it?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. The aftertaste is really nice. Like the way it lingers. It's a really nice flavor, but
But it's almost like
it really is just kind of like pouring water into your mouth when
it
it
is.
first
It's like
goes in.
it's like you take it in and you're like, "Oh shit." Like in fact, at first I was like, "Oh, like am I stuffed up or something?" Like I can't smell. And
Yeah.
but it finishes with all the flavor.
Yeah.
Very weird. I don't think I've ever experienced that.
Maybe they're trying to do that for spring. I don't know
Mm,
what that has to do with spring, but
I'm pretty
maybe
sure
that's the differentiator there.
it's got a heck of a burp on it already too. This is very weird. I don't think I've ever encountered this before in a good way. Like I'm not saying that it's amazing. Like I love it, but it's a really weird experience
Yeah.
in a good way.
Good experience though.
Yeah.
I agree. You know what else? It's a great experience.
Also, what? Oh, hold on, real quick. Also, very drinkable. But what is a good experience?
It's very drinkable. I was actually gonna say I could see myself getting this again, and
Oh
I've
yeah,
only drank a quarter of it so far, so
yeah. Extremely drinkable.
that's good. Uh, anyways, no, I so we were talking a little bit before the episode and trying to figure out the whole name debacle. Why is it called Spring Bock, right?
Because I assumed it was a play on spring break,
Right,
but
which kind of does make sense. I mean,
yeah, I think
or
it
it
makes
could
the
make
most
sense.
sense.
But I pointed out there is an animal named Springbok. Now
Which is
it's only, with no C, obviously, just with a K at the end. But
oh, okay. So therefore, the play on spring break with Spring Bock makes still significantly more sense. But
what?
carry on,
How?
bro. Okay, a Bock with
It's literally the same name. You just take out the C, bro.
yeah, but we listen. We've stretched it before. Everyone's heard your stretch on it and Maine and all that other jazz.
No, dude, there's
Sell
no
it, dude.
shot.
Sell it. It's fine.
I'm well. Listen, so there's no evidence of that supporting fact or whatever about a Springbok being the reason behind the name, but I could have sworn a couple years ago when I was in the store and I saw this that there was a Springbok on the can, and now I'm gonna
Okay,
have to
so
do a deep dive in my research
okay, so
because there
here's the
is
thing.
none. There's none on there
First
now.
off, first off, Springbok is not so common of an animal that if I was walking by any type of shittily printed can, I would be like, "Oh my God, is that a Springbok on the can?" Not never. If you showed me a lineup of animals right now, of which three I was familiar with, and the fourth was a Springbok, still pretty sure I could not identify the Springbok.
Okay, dude, it's
Um,
basically a really thin deer, and instead of the antlers, like going out or whatever, it's just two horns that curl in. They
hey,
go
real
like
quick,
up and in.
real quick. Um, when's the last time you saw a Springbok in the wild?
Okay, what do you want to know why?
No, I
Because
said when is the last time that you've seen a Springbok in the
well,
wild?
I'm going to give you my why before I give you my when.
That's fine. I have a follow-up question.
Okay.
Continue.
My why I have not seen one in the wild ever is because they are native to Africa. That's why.
Okay, okay. Okay, I'll give you that. When is the last time that you saw one as like an actual part of an on television documentary?
Well, I've seen them a couple times in the Nat Geo
And they
stuff,
and they and they referred to them as the Springbok?
Yeah,
Dude, I'm pretty sure you're the only person that's ever seen that. I can't
like
I've never
springboks, gazelles, and shit like that.
Dude, okay, I'll trust that Google, we've already agreed that Google knows all. Like I'll trust that
Yes,
Google
we have.
gave you that, but that is not the reason they call this a Springbok.
Okay, so your reasoning is it's a play for spring break.
Yeah, it's a play on well, we already agreed it's oxymoronic. It's a Bach, historically summer, in the spring, which is the opposite type of the year. They got the blue bonnets on the can. They're really toting like the next coming. Is there any type of like explanation on the can? No, I don't know if Saint Arnold does that. I bet you on the website they got something.
Yeah, I'm gonna check while you're.
I'm gonna go Springbok because it's spring break. Very little reference to the artificial deer character that you keep referencing.
It's not artificial, man. It's a literal animal on this planet. It's
No,
just
no,
only in
no.
Africa.
It's missing a C. Completely different.
Okay, well, it's in your case, it's missing the REA. So
Well, no, a pun, or I'm sure that there's a different terminology that I can't come up with right now, but a pun is fine. Like, oh, spring box, spring break, that's fine. It can be spelled different. But to make up and just mock Mother Nature by creating some type of animal, that's not fair.
I don't know. There's really no definition for its name on their website, but it does say best consumed at 40 degrees, and recommended pairings is roasted chicken, goulash, and grilled game.
Gotcha. Does that grilled game include
Include Springbok, probably.
the unrealistic, artificially imaginative
Listen,
Springbok?
dude, I want to put a picture of a Springbok on the video just for this.
Listen, dude, you can draw up whatever you want. You can put a unicorn
Okay,
on there riding a
first of all,
rainbow, and guess what? It still doesn't make it real.
listen, man. I'm gonna stand by it. I think that's where they got the name from. Okay, I'm telling you, they wanted to make a Bach for spring, but they didn't want to be too crazy about it. And there was one guy that had been hunting in Africa, and he was like, "Oh, Springbok." That's what happened, bro.
So
Telling you.
why didn't God, that's a stretch. The dominoes really had to fall in place on that. Why wouldn't they include it on the can? Like, how far back was this bottle that you saw supposedly with the Springbok on it?
I feel like it wasn't that long ago, but I can't find it on the internet, so I could very well be wrong about that.
Made up. That's what it sounds like, just like your Springbok. But how long? This is a good question to ask and get an answer to. How long has the Springbok been out?
Mm, let me see.
Are
I
there any other
well
Springboks?
well here this is interesting. It's available from December until March. So it's really not even available through spring.
Yes, but I think seasonally, spring. When is the official kickoff of spring?
I thought it was March.
Maybe it is March, dude. I don't know. So I did a quick little Google here. There is a Springbok that does reference the deer, none of which is Saint Arnold.
Yes, I did see that whenever
Yeah.
I did my researching as well. Yeah.
Also, it's funny, because that could be a slew of animals that they're just grouping into a category called the Springbok. What's the
Okay.
is there an official what do you call it? What is it? What is the like the species of animal? Like the scientific name. What's the scientific name for a Springbok?
Uh,
We'll figure that out later. Because we're gonna have to make it up because it doesn't fucking exist. But
okay.
anyways, I wish that they would include if they're gonna if it is related to the Springbok, I think that they should include it on the can. But considering that it's not, it has a beautiful can. Beautiful can.
Yeah, I mean, now that you pointed out the blue bonnets on it, that's a clever play on area that they're from, the season that I assume they're going for it. Now that it's released through from December through March, I'm kind of confused a little bit. Are they just trying to bring spring to us a little early? Is that
Well,
what's going on?
I think maybe it symbolizes the beginning of like, hey, March is around the corner. Hey, spring's on its way. Enjoy this Bach. I think that's just as digestible of bullshit as the Spring Bok animal you speak of. Okay.
So
Um,
the scientific nature of it is not going to make my argument any better in this nature, okay?
oh, did you Google it? Oh, it gets worse, huh? It's just a
Okay,
deer, isn't it?
it's a medium-sized antelope, okay?
Mhm.
Found mainly in South and Southwest Africa, the sole member of its genus.
The sole member of its genus. Oh, so you
And
mean like
but you ready for this? This name is hilarious to me. It's Antidorcas.
ah,
You know, you know what I mean? What are the
yeah,
odds, bro?
it's anti Dorcas, but those that believe in it, pro Dorcas, very pro Dorcas.
Okay, dude, whatever. Oh man.
Man, I don't
The
know.
only reason I knew it was such a that it was an animal, honestly, wasn't because of any documentary, it was because of a hunting game that I played.
Was it like Big Buck?
No.
No? Oh, damn.
No, no, no. It's like I think it's called Hunter Call of the Wild or something, but there's a bunch of different maps and one of them is Africa and those things are in there.
I
That's the
gotcha.
only reason I
And
knew
they're,
it was a thing.
and they're worth like 1 billion point because they're also
Mythical.
invisible because they don't exist.
No. Actually, they ain't worth shit.
Yeah. So glad that were able to clear that up. It took a bit. We went on a journey there, but yeah. So I'm gonna say hard. Actually, I'm gonna come to this conclusion. If it's available December through March, it is a flag and precursor to spring. I don't think it's a play on spring break, and it definitely isn't named after the fictitious Springbok creature.
Now, if I ever go to Saint Arnold Brewery, this is the one question I'm asking. If I had one question to ask the master brewer, this would be it.
And
What is the name of the Springbok from?
do you think the master brewer would indulge you in your just
I don't think he would have
adolescent
to.
thoughts of
I think that's the answer he would give.
mm, highly unlikely.
I think he would say
Also,
it's a play off of the animal name.
well, listen, if I was a mattress Mac reference callback, if I was a mattress Mac, I'd put however much money on the fact that that would not be his answer.
Okay.
Big spenda on the bet cart for it not being about a fake deer.
If you buy three pieces of
So
furniture and you come in and it turns out that the Springbok was not named after the animal, then you win, win, win.
win, win, win. And we deliver tonight. No back order slips. Just like there is no spring bok. That's how you would do it.
Okay. Oh man. Bok delivery. That just sounds like a chicken, honestly.
But on that note, so we can all agree. Well, actually, none of us can agree. Or at least it's split 50-50, but not we can't agree what it's based on. However, for me, it every time I hear spring, it doesn't matter when it is. It could be spring training, it could be spring Bach, it could be springtime, it could be I think Sinatra had some songs about spring. I could be misspeaking, but not quite spring Bach misspeaking. Anyways,
Trampoline spring.
yeah, I think of spring. What did you say?
Trampoline spring.
Well, that is more realistic to think than spring Bach, the
Okay.
animal.
All
But
right.
anyway, so I think of spring cleaning. Okay, and here's what I think about when I think of spring cleaning. Um, why do we wait till the spring? What in the season signifies, yeah, signifies that hey, we need to do a good solid clean from your perspective, not the spring Bach mind. I don't need that. I need some real approach. But
Mm.
why do you think we clean in the spring, and why do you think that it's the only like nobody talks about winter cleaning, nobody talks about summer cleaning. Why is the spring the season for cleaning?
I don't think it's so much of a thing like anymore. Pretty much everyone cleans just whenever they feel like it. But I think like it became a thing because back in the day when it was cold out, right, and during the winter months, usually you were all bundled up inside. You didn't really like go out much. You were trying to survive, so everybody was in the house and it got real dirty. But then when spring rolls around, it starts to warm up, then everybody's going back out and doing their things, and so they get real deep in there and they start doing those deep spring cleanings. Like I said, now,
No, dude, two things I have to say. One, we're gonna dive into that and like we're gonna try to beat it down, but I do think that is the perfect answer. The second thing, I don't see how you came up with that answer believing in Springboks. Like it
bro,
doesn't make sense to
they're
me.
not they're not unicorns. It's
I mean, I've never seen one. I,
it's
I
a
don't know any
real
person on this.
animal,
Listen,
bro.
I don't know any person on this planet that knows of them besides you. All I'm saying is that was the most fail-safe, wholesome, cannot shoot holes in your answer, and it also comes from the place of lies, you know?
All right.
So, so okay, so I, so you're,
Whatever.
so basically what you're saying is that back in the gap, because there is nothing new. That maybe that's a separate topic. We're not creating any new trends or creating any new whatever, like new lifestyles or things that you do. So you're saying back in the gap, people went through the summer, then they hunkered down for winter, which makes sense.
Well,
And then
summer and fall, and then hunkered down for winter.
yeah, yeah, I mean fall is winter in most other places. Like
That's fair. That's fair. Well,
honestly, here's the thing.
yeah,
Fall is very limited. Like most places like Texas, there is no fall. It's just
it's
fucking
straight
summer
summer
and then
into
winter.
winter. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
that's true.
summer and then into winter, very brief, and then into spring. And then up north, it's almost the opposite. They basically just have one big long spring that becomes one big ass long winter. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Um, so but either way, so you're saying we get into winter, fall, winter, we get into winter, and then everybody's kind of trapped inside, basically fending for their lives, trying to stay alive. And then we get to now we can go out and about. Now we got to do our cleaning.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, even like it's more like now everybody else is out of the house, so whoever stays at the house, back in those days it was typically the woman, but she
Yeah.
would stay back while everyone else left, and she would have like that was just what they did. They just got deep back behind everything. It was just so they the season would come around, they'd just be like, well, time for spring cleaning while you go out and hunt for 3 months and try to find a deer for us. You
I
know,
would, yeah. Or if it
I'll just
were
take care of everything.
even worse, they could spend their whole life searching for that Springbok, you
Okay.
know,
All
because
right.
it doesn't exist. Listen, I'm here. We can do this all day. We'll find a way.
If we have
I
any
bet.
listeners in Africa, I would like to know how often you have seen a springbok.
Please God, for the love of settling an argument, we need one folk down there. Um,
Send us a selfie that you took with a springbok so we know it's real.
um, yeah, no Photoshop, folks. But the thing is, you would have to. So over time, if you think about it, I bet you spring cleaning. I'm not being bad here, but I think spring cleaning in like mountain folk, like back in the gap before like electricity and like you know
Mhm.
what we know nowadays. Spring cleaning was probably fairly brief. They didn't have a lot of furniture. They didn't have a lot of things. So it was just sweeping some stuff out, a lot of soot from a fireplace. Maybe they washed their bedding. That was a heck of a chore without machines, things like that. Um, but I would say it wasn't a hell of an undertaking. It was something that could be done in a couple of days. And then
Okay.
there was like the 1950s, 1960s, 1970s. I feel like there was just a lot of accumulated shit that you gathered over the holidays. And you
Mhm.
had to figure out what you were going to keep, what you were going to get rid of. So spring cleaning became more of like a chore. Like you had to do the cleaning stuff. We weren't locked inside during the winter, but you had to do the cleaning stuff, but you also had to do a lot of sorting. To me, I would rather clean than sort. Like if somebody's like, "Hey, there's all this
Oh
crap in the
man, really?
garage." Really?
I love see like I like cleaning because I like the satisfaction of like seeing, for my immediate thought of cleaning is power washing because that's just the like you get the straight look, you know what I mean? Like you're just sweeping the dirt off, right? You're
Yeah.
cutting the dirt off and it just looks fantastic in its satisfaction. But dude, I love organizing stuff and like sorting stuff out.
Okay. And from your mindset, like the way that you just laid that out, I still think I would take the pressure washing over like in that scenario, I think I would still take pressure washing over like organizing. But here in my mind, here's what I
That's
thought.
fair.
Am I gonna really deep clean my kitchen? You know, we're scrubbing counters, we're cleaning the countertops, we're cleaning the stove top, doing the microwave, shining all the stainless, like that. I think about that, floors, mopping, whatever. I think about that. I would much rather do that than like organize the cluster F of a garage. Like
Really?
just a bunch of rent. Yeah, for sure. Because the satisfaction when I'm done, also, I think I'm going to enjoy, I mean, I enjoy the garage, but I use the kitchen
That's
maybe
fair.
more. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, that's
so I
fair.
just, I just feel like there's more reward in that. And
But
that's why.
like,
So,
what about if you were like organize? Well, I guess deep cleaning and whatnot kind of involves organizing the kitchen as well.
that's the exactly. I'm glad you looped it back. That's exactly the point I'm trying to make because
Hmm.
back in the Gap, they didn't have anything to. What do you have? Like three bowls and a cup. They
Yeah,
weren't
like
like organized.
one cast iron pot or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like you had two bed sheets because you had one and a half beds. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So they weren't really organizing things. I think they were just really, really cleaning them. Nowadays it's both. It's the clutter, it's the organizing, and it's the cleaning.
It's actually interesting you said that because I was gonna say like modern society I think uses that term because of Christmas, right? Like you go through Christmas, you're like on your whole break that time, and then like the New Year's starts, the kids go back to school and whatnot, but you still kind of don't want to, do everything, right? You put all your Christmas decorations up, and like that's cleaning enough for you for a little while. And then like spring comes around, and I think maybe it's just like a feeling outside or like a feeling associated with the weather change or something that makes people say spring cleaning. I don't know, but I think it's that time in which they kind of dispose of all like the crap they got for Christmas that they don't want. Let's be honest. We all get crap from somebody,
Yeah.
I mean, it happens, right? Uh, or you're throwing out all the crap that you're replacing with stuff that you got for Christmas, just that kind or all the garbage that just accumulated over Christmas break from the kids and whatnot. So I think that's kind of like the modern look of it for the most part. And for the record, most of the time when I say like you get stuff that replaced, you get stuff for Christmas that replaces other stuff you're throwing out. Most of the time I mean clothes. Because like I just did it. I just in fact this week threw out a bunch of like shirts and a few jackets I haven't worn in like a decade. So I did my spring cleaning in January.
I think it could be, yeah, I agree entirely with that. But also, what's funny to me is like I just always had this sense of like people from um up north, like where it snows and where it gets miserable over the winter season. I just always had this thought that like they were just as unmotivated as I am when it's cold.
Yeah.
And they're not. They're definitely not. Like they're like, ah, shit. Let me go out and shovel for 10 hours before I go to work or whatever. Like they have more motivation to go to work and like enjoy outdoor, within reason, outdoor activities even when it's cold. But I think all that I've discovered, all of them are significantly more motivated when the weather starts to change, like when the season changes, which therefore reinforces. I'm just beating the dead horse that I agree with your way original statement of it's post winter. People are motivated. They're out of their homes. They're ready to start, getting back into a season that requires the fruits of their labor. um,
All right, you get back out, you start building the farm back up, you know, planting the seeds, plowing the land. caring for the
Yeah.
well, you got to care for the animals during the winter too. But you're back out there with the animals most of the time. It's just that the seasonality of it, I think, was the reason that it became a phrase so long ago.
Yeah, I think also too, I was just a little shocked that like from like someone who spat Spring
Okay,
Bock 2 seconds earlier laid down the law on spring cleaning. I just wasn't prepared. I
I gotta
thought
be
we were gonna
honest.
continue.
I was pretty surprised with my answer myself. I didn't think I was gonna be able to get that deep that quick.
It's probably because you were like, "Hey, he caught me on the Springbok. He caught me on all the BS. Like, I got to really spit some game
It's
here." And it just came out, and you're like, "Shit, I made that sound good." You know?
it's not BS, man. It is what it is, bro. But it's not BS. I promise you that. Um, yeah, no, it's not BS, dude. I can't.
No, no, no. I'm just saying. I bet you right now, if I was to punch in all of the conversation that we just had into Google, it would return your answer about spring cleaning immediately, and I would have to go to like '02 or '03 on the bottom of the Google page to find any bullshit about Springbok. But it is what it is.
I don't know. What's a little crazy to me about like, well, going back to kind of the times that we would have been talking about when we're talking about the origin of spring cleaning, right? They're inside for most of winter, so it's because it's cold. Well, I imagine they're inside for most of winter because it's cold and whatnot. Sure, there's always the people that go out, but for summer, dude, it's miserably hot sometimes. And like they're still out there because I mean, what are you gonna sit inside and bake inside? Like it's not like it's any cooler inside,
So I see what you're saying. Like there could be a summer cleaning, is what you're referring to.
or like a fall cleaning, you know? So like a
Mm,
post summer, pre winter. But we never hear
maybe.
anything about that. I mean, obviously, there had to be a reason, but
I mean, maybe so. Also, too, there's a chance we. By the way, ladies and gents, we have not Googled this at all.
that's true.
So there's a chance
All
that
speculation.
yeah, way more truth than Springbok. But
Okay,
anyway,
dude, I
so
get.
listen, we're not done. I'm gonna keep beating that. Um, but there's also a possibility that like spring cleaning refers to some type of actual Mother Nature thing too. You know, I know a lot of stuff dies during the winter, and so like there's an influx of fungi and mushrooms and different things that are overtaking the the trees and plants and different things that died over the winter season, and then out of them becomes the spring. So maybe spring cleaning doesn't even refer to like humans, maybe it refers to Mother Nature. There's a chance. That's way more believable still. I'll let you fill in the blank.
All right, dude. I can agree with that actually, because even if you're not talking about it being like a spring cleaning for Mother Nature, and you're still talking about like how maybe people just feel when the season changes. I mean, plants and stuff let off all kinds of chemicals and whatnot that we inhale. You know what I mean? So maybe it's literally like you walk outside and you're like you smell like a different fresh air. It just kind of like changes your body's reaction, and you go into a mode where you're like, I want to clean today, or like it's more like because really for me, like when I used to want to clean, it was just like a feeling I would get. You know what I mean? Like when I was younger, like you want to clean your room or like rearrange your room because that's the freedom you have. It was just kind of like a feeling would come over you or come over me.
No, I think I'm programmed a lot the same.
It's just like get those mundane tasks done. Just do it.
It it made me. I do agree. I think seasonally there are certain things that you just feel more motivated because maybe. Ooh, excuse me. Good burp. Mother Nature's given back to you in the way of plants. On that note, it reminded me of. Do you ever see that movie about mother? Like when plants decide that they're going to strike back, so they start emitting all of the. This is a. I think it's an M Night Shyamalan. So just digest that for a second.
Really?
Yeah, I think it is. And so all of the plants, people just start committing suicide. Like there's a guy that's just like mowing this pasture with a tractor, and he just like gets off and he runs up and he lays down and just lets it run over him.
The hell?
And then yeah, there's people that just jump off of buildings for no reason. And come to find out, spoiler alert for those that haven't seen it, because I don't even know what the name of the movie is. But the plants are tired of humans destroying the planet, and so they start emitting chemicals that make human beings suicidal.
Okay.
Which, if you think about, sorry, we went on a tangent there, but if
That's
you think
a
about it, it's a
pretty M
great
Night.
concept.
Yeah, it's very
I
M
mean,
Night Shyamalan if that is him. So
very M Night. I think it is very M Night Shyamalan. And it's a crazy concept because the same things that are triggering us to spring clean and to maybe put on weight for the winter, maybe that's just me, or also to like believe in a spring bock. Like a lot of those things are being driven by Mother Nature.
I'll tell you what. I think putting on weight for the winter is another one of those things that's like rooted in, olden times, because you couldn't find a lot of food in the winter because everything was in hiding, hibernating, and whatnot. So it was smart to put on weight so that you didn't freaking die while you had to, scourge for food.
I
Um,
also feel I think putting on weight is referring to like the bear itself. I don't think humans were putting on winter weight, were they?
I would imagine you would back then. I mean, depending on how back then we're talking about.
I don't know. Okay, that's a great question. Not to go further down a rabbit hole that we've already dug inside a rabbit hole. But when you think way back, what do you think? Like, what is your way back? This is great to
In this
actually ask.
sense,
No, 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 no. Like, if I just say like, yeah, like let me throw an example out there. Like, oh yeah, money's kind of tight these days, but not near as it was back in the day.
the
What
West,
time period do you
the
think?
West,
The
like
West. Okay, so
like the times of like the Wild West, right? Like the
gotcha.
things
So
we always see
like
in like Western movies and stuff.
yeah, so like saloons, horseback, dirt streets,
Yeah.
railroads.
Yes.
Okay,
The
that
the
that's
the indoctrination of railroad, like the beginning of railroads.
oh yeah, 100%. Like where you would walk into a bar and they would be like, "Hey," they would give you a beer and you would just arbitrarily flip them a coin and they were like, "That'll do."
Yeah.
That's the days I think of.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay. So I also feel like back then people like you could stay in a in fact, I think the hotel was luxury then. Like that
Oh
was the
yeah.
shit, right?
Oh yeah, because
Because
you got a bed.
well, you
You,
got a
I
bed
mean,
and
and a
you had like
roof.
you had a bed and you had a roof and like to a certain extent I think a lot of them had fireplaces, like there was like downstairs there were people with food and there were people with drinks and all kinds of stuff. And then you had your house, which was essentially a wooden box.
And you had
And
to keep the
that
fire going
yeah, you
if you
kept the
wanted to.
fire going. Water was retrieved from somewhere else. You had to put pants on to go
Well,
poo.
I mean, that's
Like,
just like a hotel now, though.
what do you
I
mean?
mean,
No, no, no. Like, I would say the luxury that I have within inside, I mean, even anybody's house, the luxury I have inside my house is better than the luxury inside a hotel. Like, I don't have to keep up with the hotel, but like, for all intents, like a hotel's climate controlled just like my home. The quality of water is no better inside a hotel than inside my home.
yeah, but
The
in your
the
house, you
distilleries.
still have to do it all.
Oh, you're right, but like hotels were like the first to employ indoor plumbing and they would build you a bath inside,
Oh
not,
yeah,
out in
and
the yard
oftentimes
in
have
a tub.
somebody come to help bathe you.
Exactly. So all I'm saying is like that is too what I think of when I think of old. When I think of like back in the day, old, that's what I think of.
Yeah,
Like,
I have no idea where I was going originally because we went down a rabbit hole there. But
yeah, I'm sorry. I don't. We'll have to circle back around to what we were talking about. But oh,
yes,
well,
though I
we were talking about seasonal changes, Mother Nature, all of that, and that back in the day is what probably drove that, and we
oh
have the
yes,
same understanding of
it
back
was
in the day.
winter weight, right? That's what it
Yeah,
was.
good call.
So I think like back then, right? I mean, if it was gonna get cold, there wasn't gonna be anything to hunt. I mean, theoretically, you had to kind of save up everything that you had been hunting and gathering and whatnot for that season in order to be able to survive. So you would put on more weight before to try to stay warm and whatnot. I would think, um, but now we don't have to do that either. But we
You
always
know
talk
what's
about putting on winter weight, and I think it's now it's related to holidays though, and
so
we do it just out of more or less laziness than need.
what I think is so hilarious
I know I
is
do at
that
least.
no. I think definitely during seasonal, like during Christmas, we're putting on weight. We joke about it, like, oh, we're putting on our winter weight. What's so funny is that like if people genuinely used to put on weight for the winter for the exact purpose that we just talked about, what's crazy is nowadays people diet like hell before the summer. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah,
It's
that's
like
true. That's
it's
more
the
of a
100% opposite.
I mean, yeah, that's more of a like a looks thing now though than it has to do
That's
with like survivability or health.
that's fine, but I'm saying like gone are the
That is fun.
days because of society, gone are the days of protecting yourself through body weight for the winter, and now it's like, look, we messed up during the winter and let's focus on cutting it off. Whereas
Yeah.
back in the day it was like, hey, we were kind of starving ourselves all throughout the year just to make it through because it was hot and it was tough. We got to really pack on the pounds so that we stay alive. Now it's like, hey, we slacked off a little bit during the holidays and let's really focus on getting ourselves thin for the summer.
Yeah, for sure. I well, here's my other reason on why we add more weight um in the winter months or whatever, the winter times or toward the end of the year or whatnot. It's still related to holidays. But here, my reasoning behind that is because, like, think about the rest of the year and the holidays that there are, right? Assuming that you're Christian, which is, I don't want to assume anyone is, but assuming that you are, what do you got? Like New Year's, and then there's a mass. I mean, if you celebrate Valentine's Day, but like you don't do a big family gathering, it's just like you and your partner, right? So that's just like a nice meal or whatever. But you got New Year's, then it jumps to Easter if you're Christian. I don't know what any other religions do or other people do during that time.
I mean, not necessarily, I mean, Mardi Gras.
Mardi Gras, but that's also a select, area
Mm,
group of people.
gotcha.
Uh and then like what else is there? In America, then it's like a jump until 4th of July.
Oh, well,
I mean,
yeah.
there's
I
other
mean,
holidays, but like
Memorial Day?
Memorial Day, okay, that's in May.
Yeah.
Uh so there's four holidays right there within like 7 months,
So
right?
you're saying the concentration of holidays is heavier in the winter. Is that the point you're
the
making?
concentration of large group event holidays.
And feast related
Yes,
events.
because then
Uh,
and you got the end of October is Halloween, and at least we
Candy.
do. We always get together, and there's so much food and candy, and you just eat and eat and eat. And then 3 weeks later is Thanksgiving for
Yep.
Americans, and Thanksgiving is arguably the largest feast that you eat
Built
all
on
year.
eating. It's literally about the
It's
feast.
literally about food. And then 4 weeks later, you got Christmas, and again, well, and there's other all the other religions though have holidays in that same time period as well, at least in my
Yeah.
understanding. So whatever you are, whatever you believe in, you're doing something during that time period, and it's
Yeah.
largely large group family oriented. You know, I don't know about the feast, but I know that whenever we celebrate Christmas, the food is everywhere. So,
Well,
and then
I
I put New Year's at the beginning of the year thing, but I kind of group New Year's in with that as well, because the New Year's Eve parties, like that's still kind of the end of the year. I don't know.
I
There's
think
just a lot going on in that like 9 week period, you know?
I think regardless of religion or whatever, like pretty much every celebration, even like hey, to call back in the gap, a celebration was food because it wasn't something that was that you just like like now we have a big celebration and we have a blast and then we have a ridiculous amount of food because we want the food. Back in
Yeah.
the day, they had a celebration and really what that meant was
Because
like,
they
hey,
had food.
because there is food. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that food celebration is unanimous with food in the sense of any holiday or
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
really any culture or any seasonality.
I agree. I just don't, I was just making sure I was touching all my bases because I don't know
Oh
what
no,
each person does in that time. That's it.
but I would say it's safe to say that like as far as like
Well, I mean,
American celebrations.
because there's some religions that fast, and I don't know when they do or when they don't. So I don't.
Yeah, but I think equally they have celebrations nonetheless in the same seasonal patterns that
Yeah.
that I don't want to say would be built on the same volume of indulgence as the rest of us, but where they probably overdo it.
Yeah. I would imagine so. But there's just that concentration at the end of the year. So everybody kind of jokingly now says putting the winter weight on, or, you know, in my case, that's the time where I'm just like, screw it. I'm not even going to try to eat better for this couple months because it's just not going to be worth it. I'll just wait until the new year.
I also find myself just seeking out things that normally I don't care about. Like I'll just be like asking myself, I'm like, oh man, when's the last time that you had a good fried fish sandwich? You know, and you're just like, what? And you're like, I don't know. I figured we could grab one Christmas Eve because we don't want to cook. Like whatever the
The
excuse
filet of
is.
fish.
Yeah. No, not the fillet. Whatever the excuse is, I just feel like that's a time where I'm seeking it out. Where I'm like, yeah, what's a picture of White Russians? Yeah, it's not that
Oh
bad.
God. Yeah, I can't do the White Russians anymore, bro. Can't do it.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, that's a time period for things that if you want to try them, you go out and you try them.
I agree. I agree. All right, there was one more thing that we did want to talk about, and it was the origin of Saint Arnold.
That is correct.
Right?
And now I had to do a bit of research here. Only because, and you can maybe talk from your perspective, but St. Arnold is a Houston staple.
The like the actual saint, or
No, not the Saint. I'll get into his
oh,
history. I'm talking
okay.
about the brewery.
I was about to say I did not know about that. No, yeah, Saint Arnold is one of the arguably the biggest brewery in Houston. Was it
It's
them
the
or
old.
it's the
It's
oldest?
the
I know.
it's the oldest in Texas.
Oh, I did not know it was the oldest in Texas.
Yes, it's the oldest craft brewery in Texas.
Oh, okay. But it is bigger than Carbach as well. Was Car
If you
was
want to get really nasty, before Carbach sold out, yes,
Okay, so Carbach was the
because
one. That's what I thought.
St. Arnold has not sold out yet.
Yeah. Uh well, yeah, on the can right here it says the patron saint of breweries or brewers, patron saint of brewers. Uh one of the one of the few breweries that I've never had a bad beer from. Now, they're not my favorite beers. I have a few other breweries I think that have some of my favorites. But everything that I have had from St. Arnold's has been very good. This included, I think the lawn. I don't remember if we did the lawnmower before on the podcast or not, but the lawnmower is one of my favorite year-round beers. It's good pretty much whenever. We had some at Christmas, I believe. I drink them during the summer all the time. Incredible brewery. I've never been
Yeah,
there personally, but uh, incredible beer made there. So
yeah, big fan. I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but like I don't always migrate towards St. Arnold for a beer, but you're right. I've never had. Okay, so there's a lot of craft breweries where I've had one beer and I'm like, damn, that is the best of that beer ever. And then I drink one of their others and I'm like, holy shit, that is the worst beer
yeah,
that I've ever had, right? I never get that with St. Arnold. They have some beers that I really love. I love Lawnmower. Um, I really enjoy the Spring Bock now. I like some of their seasonal stuff. They have some really good stuff. There's not a single beer where I'm like, oh my God, that was terrible. I've never had that experience with St. Arnold.
yeah, me
Um,
either. Not even their IPAs or anything like
nope.
harsh.
It's always been enjoyable. And like I said, they're always not at the top of my list. Now, a lawnmower is a little bit different, but they're not always the top of my list. But yeah, they definitely have never let me down. So if we talk about Arnold himself, so we've always known him as the patron saint of breweries, right? Or patron saint of brewing is the way they
Brewers.
reference it. Brewers, okay.
Yeah.
So technically, he is Arnold of Soissons, or Arnold, or Arnulf, or Odenberg, circa 10. This is a real human being, by the way. Circa 1040 to 1087. He is a saint of the Catholic Church. He's the patron saint of hop pickers, or specifically Belgian brewers. Okay, and it calls out specifically Belgian brewers, not all brewers, but Belgian. But he's more known for his hop picking.
It's
Um,
interesting to be a saint for.
yeah, we're
I
gonna
mean,
get
hey,
into
listen, bless him.
a. I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, peace be with him is all I'm saying. But we'll get into a little more history here, very briefly, and then we can kind of wrap. But he was born in Brabant. He was the son of a soldier. They settled in a bunch of different places, but he ended up in Soissons, France, which is, and I'm probably butchering that, but that's why he's Arnold or Arnold or Arnulf of Soissons. Um, he was a hermit, but he later rose through the ranks of the monastery. He became a bishop.
Wow.
Um, I mean, basically, there's very little insight on. Oh, he brewed beer as an essential to sustain life in the medieval era. He encouraged a lot of local peasants to drink beer instead of water due to its gift of health. It was probably a way to keep
Interesting.
people from dying of dysentery. Um,
Interesting.
yeah,
This
so
makes me respect
that
the brewery a little bit more. I
no
didn't
no
realize
it
it was
really
that deep.
no 100%. So honestly, he realized that during the process of brewing water, he had to boil all of the water, and therefore the pathogens that were in there were removed, making the beer safer to drink.
Hmm.
So we kind of accredit him. I mean, obviously, other people were taking food safety into perspective, but basically, he realized that if he made beer, he boiled the water, he converted it to something else, he could save mass amounts of people. He gave instructions to all of his fellow monks to spread the word. Um, and he just wanted people to avoid consuming contaminated water, and therefore saved many, many, many lives.
So, I mean, I don't want to get touchy on this subject at all, talking about religion and stuff recently, but Jesus turned water into wine, and St. Arnold turned water into beer.
That's right. And many, 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 many college students turn student loans into Natty Light.
Yeah. Or
So there's
whatever
just
other
a
piss
chance.
poor liquor that they drink.
So not everybody's the saint for it, but based on where you're at in life,
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I'm sure there's other things. I don't want to go too far in detail, but I'm sure there's other things that made him a saint. But I think it's his forward thinking, and then obviously being tied to the spreaders of the word and to like different monks and different Catholic resources, protecting them against what would have been considered a realistic harm at the time is what creates some of his legacy.
That's pretty cool. I don't know if his depiction on all of the cans that they sell is accurate or not, but I remember vividly the first Saint Arnold beer that I ever had and that I ever saw was the Christmas Ale. And my
Mhm.
God, if his portrait on the St. Arnold's cans isn't perfect to be Santa Claus, I don't know who is.
So
So I don't know if that's actually what he
that
looks like or not, but
dude, that could be a whole. So there's no obviously no pictures, but there's a lot of stained glass. St. Arnold has a lot of stained glass that's built of him. I don't know if
mm,
it's circa his time. Stained glass has been around forever, but all of the stained glass depictions are very similar to the can.
really.
Extremely similar. Yes, like damn near like they took a stained glass and just printed it on the can. And you know what? He does kind of have a Santa Clausy look.
I mean, but they kind of dress him to look like it a little bit on the St. Arnold can or the Ye Old Christmas Ale, I believe. I think they changed something about what he's wearing. I could be
Well,
wrong though.
here's the other thing too. I mean, being a saint, they probably dress him as like a cardinal or dress him as bishop attire, pope attire, but
Well,
more
yeah.
more cardinalish, I guess, in the
I don't.
Catholic
I,
sense.
what is he on this can? Because on the bottle on the video podcast here, he is
This,
dressed in red.
yeah, that would be a cardinal.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
So
so that's
that's
that's damn near standard traditional cardinal attire.
yeah.
So that's not necessarily Santa Claus. That's just
It's
Catholic.
red.
Yeah.
If they just switched that hat out for a Santa hat, it would be Santa Claus.
Yeah, but I would say his facial build, his beard,
The
and
beard is what it
obvious
is.
and obviously what he was bringing to the party
You know
made
what I'm
him,
saying, brah.
you know what I'm saying? Did the Leon felt? No, but what he's bringing to the party or bringing to life is really where his Santa instincts are.
Listen, man, he
But
brought us the greatest gift I think that I could have asked for.
beer or Spring Bock, your lies.
All right, we're at that point in the episode where I'm going to tell you to go follow us on social media.
Hey,
Follow
wait,
it.
wait, wait. We didn't even wrap up. Look at how quickly you want to jump to the end.
All right, we got to do the ratings here. That's right. I was just mad, bro. I had to get out of that.
Jesus Christ, one more hit and he's just out.
All right, man. I'll start with mine like usual.
Mm.
For entry, I have a 3 because, like we said, it just didn't enter like a Bach usually does. Aftertaste though, I have this bad boy at a 5. Body, I've got it at a 5 as well. I thought it looked great, tasted great. Color, I've got a 5. Bitterness, I've got a 5. Acidity, I have it down at a 3 again. Uh, there's kind of a little bit of a fruitiness to it. I don't hate it, but it's just not super Bach-y to me. And fizz, I mean, we've determined at this point that fizz is related to the burps. I've had some incredible burps along this episode. If you've heard them, then you're welcome. So I got a total of 31 here for mine.
Ooh. So we're very, very, very close. Entry, I do have a two. We talked about this. It's weird. There's nothing wrong with this beer. I think it's phenomenal, but all of it is after the fact. I wish if we had anything up front, then it would change the whole scoring. But entry, I have a 2 because literally like I know Randall said it earlier, but it's like water coming into your palate. It's crazy what it becomes, but it's water coming in. Aftertaste, I have a 6. So just imagine that. That's the only perfect aftertaste I've ever had. It goes from almost the lowest entry to the most phenomenal aftertaste. It's got a 5 in body, great mouthfeel, enough thickness for me, but not too thick, not too thin. Color, I've got a 5 on it. Um, Bitterness, I've got a 5 on it. Acidity, I've got a 4 on it. I think it could have had a little more because it does tend to favor the sweeter side. Fizz, I've got a 6, and here's why, which I don't give out very often. But I've had appropriate amounts of burp, not too uncomfortable, but every time I've needed one for taste of the beverage, I've had one. Um, so that puts my total overall at a 33. And I never, ever thought that I would come across. I don't think this is an everyday drinker for me, but I would definitely drink it again. I would definitely tell folks about it, except I would have to let them know that, hey, when you bring it, like when you first taste it, you're going to be disappointed. And then it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Like, don't smell it. Don't put it in your mouth for a second. Enjoy the whole first couple of sips, and then you'll be blown away.
I gotta agree with you with the burps. Is none of them have been bad in the sense of like, nope, they've all been a nice relief, and the flavor has been great. As gross as that sounds.
And I don't know if it's because it's lacking at the front end, and therefore I need the burp for the additional flavor, but it's not a nasty burp. They're when needed. They're not overabundant, but I also don't lack them if need be.
Yeah. Do you see yourself drinking this anywhere particular or doing anything particular with this one?
So honestly, I don't, in my opinion, I don't see it in the summer and I don't see it in spring. I really see it in this to me would be great in that Christmas to New Year's stretch.
I agree.
Um, because it's a little bit sweeter. It's easy drinkable, but it's got a little more flavor, and it needs time. That's the thing. Like not that I'm like, oh, I really need the taste of a beer right now, but in the summer, I feel like you want crisp, you want it now. In the spring, I feel like you need that. Post work, you want something that's very quick and refreshing. This is the kind of thing where you need to sit and enjoy half a pint and then you're gonna love it. So I would say that that leisure time between Christmas and New Year's is when I see myself doing it.
I can kind of agree with you there. I like if I see myself drinking it anywhere or doing anything with it particular, it's I'm taking a six pack of this to a function, like to a gathering, whether it's with friends or family, and I'm either like you said, kind of spreading the wealth a little bit, introducing them, warning them, but introducing them to it, or just drinking it all myself. I kind of like you said, I don't really see it in the summer or fall necessarily. I could kind of see it in spring, but like the early beginnings of spring. But it definitely does fit the time period in which it's released from December until March. I think it's a solid bring with you beer when you don't want to bring a 30 rack of Miller or whatever, a 24 pack of Miller or whatever it is that
Yeah.
you drink normally. It's not your everyday drinker, but it's your, maybe you're trying to introduce somebody to craft beer. This would be a great one to introduce them to craft beer
I agree.
because it's kind of
Because
like a midway point.
it's the gateway craft. There's no super craftiness that's buried in there, but it's not overwhelming to begin with. It finishes well. I think it stays true to what it is. If it's truly a German style Spring Bock, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. All right. Now we're at the time where I will tell you to follow us on socials. Not going to get out of here too early for you. Follow us on Twitter at Off the Tap Pod and on Instagram at Off the Tap Podcast. And we also have the Facebook page, which is Off the Tap Podcast. So you can follow us there as well.
One last thing I'll remind you is don't fall victim to fictitious fizz.